in full disclosure, a client of mine for many years, and my daughter and her partner, Mark Agnifilo, defended him in the trial that he just went through in the Southern District. There's been a lot of talk about home confinement, but I think, and I leave it to you two to weigh in here. I think what is being called home confinement is really not what Mark Agnifilo said. Mark Agnifilo, who is Teddy's partner, had talked about, given the sentencing guidelines for Diddy, that it would appear that he should be at a level that would be what's called a split sentence, which would be you'll have a year at the time of sentencing in custody or custody time, and then home confinement could follow that, and that's what's called a split sentence. It's not like he's asking, go release me now on a monitor to go home. It's what the judge would go through the checking off the boxes of where the sentencing guidelines, where does he belong? Ashley, what do you think about that?
I think the judge needs to follow the guidelines. And I know it's not a popular opinion because a lot of folks, want Diddy to pay for things that he was not convicted of and pay for being what a lot of people would agree is just a bad guy. The guidelines say let him go. And what sort of strikes me about this is the government judges are very quick to rely on the sentencing guidelines to justify harsh sentences. So, why are we not so quick to justify a lenient sentence? Why are we always trying to justify these harsh sentences? Oh, I had to do it. My hands were tied because of the guidelines. I mean, the whole purpose of these guidelines, which were studied and tons of dollars were spent on them, is to avoid arbitrary sentences, to avoid a judge who's mad, who's pissed off that he's got a bad guy in front of him. So, hopefully the judge will actually follow those guidelines. And if he does, he's going to go home.
Well, what do you think, Arthur? He issued an order, and he being Judge Subramanian, saying that he wanted to see filed by both the government and the defense a survey, if you will, of anybody else similarly situated. What does that tell you?
One, I don't think that was the right thing for him to do. That's his job. I mean, that is his job. I mean, we're trying to do it on Harvey Weinstein's case, and to just show the judge, just because he's a bad guy, in the world of the National Enquirer and the Hollywood Reporter, that doesn't mean he should get sentenced differently than everyone else to find the average. It's not that easy for Mark Garagos, for Tenny Garagos and Mark Ignifilo to get those answers. It's just not. This is not stuff that's like ready available. So the judge is right. He should know where, and I've done that. And I've been very successful with that in the past, where cases look like they're going the wrong way, and then the government's asking for 20 years. I'm like, well, that's interesting, Judge, because the state average is 2.5 years, so they're only like 100 times over where they should be. So it shows that he's trying to be fair. But as you guys know, the judge is allowed to take a lot of other factors into consideration. So I was involved in a case where in a federal court where he gets acquitted of basically the RICO murder, but he gets convicted of the drug thing. And the drug thing, it was kind of not a big drug case by any stretch of the imagination. And yet she bangs him out at the sentencing. And she basically says, well, I thought you were guilty of the murder, even though the jury didn't think so. So I'm going to put that time there. I also don't think, Mark, that it helped, and I know he had no control and the defense team had no control, the reaction outside the courthouse. I was close by, when people
you were across the plaza, literally.
Exactly. Spraying, baby oil all over the place. And, I understand what they're coming from. But as we all know, one of the things that the judge has to take into consideration and put on the record is general deterrence. Not that it's going to deter P. Diddy from doing this again, but tell society, if you behave this way, there's going to be a significant punishment. And I dealt with that with the Anthony Weiner case, where the sentencing judge said, I don't think you'll ever do this again. I am convinced of that. However, a case of this magnitude, we need to send a message. And, he got a year and change in prison.
Yeah, I would invite the judge to come to Burbank Airport any Friday afternoon and watch people going to Vegas and asking what they're doing when they're going to Vegas. But that's a different subject.